Yakutia, the frozen heart of Russia. There exists a place where winter reigns for 9 months of the year, where temperatures plummet to -70 degrees Celsius, where the ground hasn't thawed in thousands of years, where exhaled breath freezes instantly into crystals that locals call the whisper of stars. This is not Antarctica. This is not the Arctic Ocean. This is inhabited land. This is home to nearly 1 million people who have mastered survival in Earth's coldest, permanently inhabited region. Welcome to Yakutia, the Saka Republic, the frozen heart of Russia. Larger than India, spanning 3 time zones covered by permafrost up to 500 meters deep, Yakutia is a land of extremes that defies human comprehension. Here, the Lena River freezes solid enough to drive trucks across. Here, diamonds emerge from ancient volcanic pipes. Here, perfectly preserved woolly mammoths emerge from melting ice, their flesh still edible after 40,000 years. But Yakutia is more than extreme cold. It's a crucible where ancient cultures evolved strategies for surviving the unsurvivable, where modern industry extracts unimaginable wealth from frozen earth, where climate change is transforming landscape and life at speeds visible from year to year. This is a journey into cold so profound it becomes almost metaphysical. Into wilderness so vast it swallows human presence, into a culture so resilient it thrives where others would perish in hours. Prepare yourself. What you're about to experience will redefine your understanding of cold, of survival, of what it means to call a place home when that place wants to kill you. Let us venture into the frozen heart. The pole of cold. Oymyakon, the coldest inhabited place. In a valley in eastern Yakutia lies Oymyakon, population 500, holder of the record for the coldest temperature ever recorded in an inhabited place, -67.7 degrees Celsius, recorded in 1933. Unofficial readings have gone lower, perhaps -71 degrees, cold so extreme that the thermometer couldn't measure it. What does this cold mean in practical terms? Car engines must run continuously or they'll never start again. Batteries die within minutes, steel becomes brittle and shatters, plastic cracks, rubber disintegrates, exposed skin develops frostbite in under 2 minutes. Exhaled breath doesn't just fog, it freezes into ice crystals that tinkle as they fall to the ground. The village name ironically means unfrozen water, a reference to a thermal spring that keeps one small section of river from freezing, providing water for reindeer herds. This spring made the location a traditional stopping point for herders. Soviet authorities, in their wisdom, decided to establish a permanent settlement here. The result is a monument to human stubbornness, a village that exists because someone decided it should, despite every environmental factor screaming otherwise. Life in Oymyakon requires constant vigilance. Buildings are constructed on stilts to prevent structural heat from melting permafrost and causing collapse. Water pipes, if they exist at all, run above ground in insulated boxes. Most residents still use outhouses. Indoor plumbing is nearly impossible when pipes freeze solid. Fish pulled from ice holes freeze in mid-air before they hit the ground. Milk is sold as frozen blocks. Vodka, despite its alcohol content, can freeze. Yet people thrive here. Children attend school unless temperatures drop below -52 degrees Celsius, the official too cold for school threshold. The local market operates year-round. Families gather for celebrations, their homes heated by coal stoves that burn constantly from October through April. But Oymyakon faces an existential threat: climate change. Winters are becoming slightly less severe. Permafrost is beginning to thaw. Buildings are developing cracks as their foundations shift. The identity of coldest place on Earth may not last another generation. Verkhoyansk, the other pole. Oymyakon has a rival. Verkhoyansk, located further north, claims its own record of -67.8 degrees Celsius. The two villages have a friendly competition for the title Pole of Cold, each asserting its supremacy in surviving the unsurvivable. Verkhoyansk's claim to uniqueness extends beyond cold. The town experiences Earth's most extreme temperature range, from -68 in winter to +37 in summer, a swing of 100 degrees Celsius. This thermal volatility creates bizarre effects. Buildings crack from expansion and contraction, roads heave and buckle. The ground itself moves as active layers above permafrost freeze and thaw. Founded in 1638 as a Cossack fort and later used as a place of political exile, Verkhoyansk has a darker history than Oymyakon. Tsarist and Soviet authorities sent political prisoners here, reasoning that the cold was punishment enough. No walls or guards needed. The environment itself was the prison. Many didn't survive their first winter. Today, Verkhoyansk has approximately 1,000 residents, down from its Soviet-era peak. The young leave for warmer climates and better opportunities. Those who remain are committed to Yakut traditions or lack resources to relocate. The town survives on reindeer herding, hunting, and a small amount of tourism from extreme weather enthusiasts. But Verkhoyansk recently made headlines for a different reason. In June 2020, temperatures reached 38 degrees Celsius, the highest temperature ever recorded above the Arctic Circle. The permafrost thawed catastrophically. Buildings collapsed, roads dissolved into mud. The town that exemplified extreme cold became a symbol of extreme climate change. The irony is bitter. The place that defined cold may become uninhabitable, not from freezing, but from thawing. The science of extreme cold. Why is Yakutia so cold? The answer lies in geography, altitude, and atmospheric physics. Yakutia occupies a vast basin between mountain ranges, creating a cold air trap. In winter, Arctic air masses settle into this basin and stagnate. Without ocean influence to moderate temperatures, Yakutia is about as far from open ocean as land can be. The cold intensifies week by week. The winter sun barely rises above the horizon. In Verkhoyansk, winter days last 3 hours. Solar radiation, already weak, strikes at such an angle that most reflects back into space. The snow-covered landscape reflects what little warmth arrives. The result is a positive feedback loop. Cold creates more cold. Clear winter skies, beautiful to observe, are deadly. Cloud cover acts as insulation, trapping heat. Clear skies allow what little warmth exists to radiate directly into space. The coldest temperatures occur on clear, calm nights when nothing prevents heat from escaping. Yakutia's permafrost extends to depths of 500 meters, the deepest on Earth. This frozen ground acts as a massive thermal battery, storing cold accumulated over millennia. Even summer heat can't penetrate more than a few meters. Below that, the ground has been frozen since the last ice age. Scientists study Yakutia as a preview of other planets. Mars, with its extreme temperature swings and permafrost, resembles Yakutia more than anywhere else on Earth. Technologies developed for Yakutian construction, thermal insulation, foundation design, heating systems, inform plans for eventual Mars colonization. The cold also preserves. Yakutia's permafrost contains perfectly preserved specimens from the Ice Age: mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, cave lions, all frozen so quickly that their cellular structure remained intact. These aren't fossils. These are bodies, complete with soft tissue, organs, even stomach contents showing their last meals. As climate warms, these frozen archives are emerging. Each discovery provides insights into extinct ecosystems. Each also releases carbon stored for millennia, accelerating the warming that exposed it. Another feedback loop, this one threatening rather than preserving. Permafrost cities. Yakutsk, the capital of Yakutia, is the largest city built on continuous permafrost. Population 300,000, most living in Soviet-era apartment blocks built on concrete stilts to prevent heat transfer to frozen ground below. Walking through Yakutsk in winter reveals engineering marvels and failures. Successful buildings stand level, their stilts firmly anchored in permafrost. Failed buildings tilt at alarming angles, victims of thawing ground beneath foundations. Some apartment blocks have been abandoned, too dangerous to inhabit, too expensive to demolish. They stand as warnings. Respect permafrost, or it will destroy what you build. The city's infrastructure exists above and below ground simultaneously. Heating pipes, water mains, and sewage systems run through utilidors, insulated above-ground corridors that can be accessed for maintenance without excavating frozen ground. These utilidors create a second city atop the first, a network of tunnels and passages that provide essential services. But climate change is destabilizing everything. Yakutsk's average temperature has risen 2 degrees Celsius in 50 years. This doesn't sound dramatic until you understand that permafrost exists in a narrow temperature range. 2 degrees means the difference between frozen and thawed. Buildings are cracking, roads are collapsing, the airport runway has required constant repair. In 2018, an apartment building's foundation shifted so severely that residents were evacuated permanently. The structure remains, tilting like a drunk giant, too dangerous to approach. City planners face impossible choices: abandon buildings before they collapse, retrofit foundations at enormous cost, relocate the entire city. Each option is catastrophic, financially, socially, culturally, yet life continues. Markets operate in the coldest weather. Children play in parks at -40. Yakutsk hosts theaters, museums, universities. The Saka people, who have inhabited this region for centuries, view the cold not as an enemy, but as a defining characteristic of home. Resilience here isn't metaphorical, it's literal, it's structural, it's survival. The Road of Bones. The R504 Kolyma Highway stretches over 2,000 kilometers through eastern Yakutia and beyond, connecting Yakutsk to Magadan on the Pacific coast. Locals call it the Road of Bones, built by Gulag prisoners whose bodies, when they died from cold or exhaustion, were buried beneath the road they were constructing. The road exists because Stalin wanted access to gold deposits in the Kolyma region. Tens of thousands of prisoners were sent to build it. They worked without adequate clothing, shelter, or food. Winter temperatures reached -60. Summer brought mosquitoes so thick they could suffocate a person. The death toll was staggering. Estimates range from 250,000 to over 1 million. Today, the Road of Bones is Yakutia's primary connection to the outside world. Trucks haul supplies during the brief summer when the road is passable. In winter, the road becomes smoother. Frozen ground provides better surface than summer mud, but exponentially more dangerous. Breakdowns mean death within hours. Running out of fuel means freezing before help arrives. The highway passes through landscapes of surreal beauty and horror. Vast taiga forests give way to tundra, then to mountain passes where wind screams with physical force. Abandoned gulag camps appear periodically, their wooden watchtowers collapsing, their barracks dissolving into earth, their histories marked by crude memorials. In recent years, climate change has made the Road of Bones even more treacherous. Permafrost thaw creates massive sinkholes that appear without warning. Entire sections of road have collapsed into these craters. Summer flooding washes away bridges. The road that killed thousands during construction may become impassable altogether, driving the Yakutia. Road of Bones isn't just dangerous. It's haunted. Every kilometer passes over bodies. Every breath of cold air contains the suffering of those who built this route with their lives. Some drivers report seeing figures along the roadside, hitchhikers who vanish when approached, shadows that move against the wind, voices calling from the forest. Superstition, psychological projection, or something else? In a place where death touched so many, where suffering soaked into the ground itself, perhaps the boundary between past and present becomes permeable. The Road of Bones isn't just a highway, it's a memorial. It's a scar. It's a warning about what humans will do to each other in pursuit of wealth and power. Diamonds and permafrost. Mirny, the diamond crater. In western Yakutia lies Mirny, a city of 40,000 built around a hole in the earth, the Mir Mine, one of the largest diamond mines in the world. The open pit extends over 1,700 meters in diameter and 525 meters deep, descending in terraces that spiral into darkness. The mine was discovered in 1955 when Soviet geologists found kimberlite pipes, volcanic formations that bring diamonds from Earth's mantle to the surface. The discovery was classified as a state secret. The Soviet Union needed diamonds for industrial use, particularly in military applications. Mirny was built with astonishing speed, supplied by air since no roads existed. Mining in Yakutia's permafrost presented unique challenges. The ground was so hard that explosives designed for normal rock couldn't penetrate it. Engineers developed special charges that could fracture frozen ground, but explosions generated heat, which thawed permafrost, which turned the mine into a muddy morass. The solution was winter mining. Wait for the coldest months when everything refroze, then extract as much material as possible before spring. The pit grew deeper, year by year. Helicopters couldn't fly over it. The downdraft created dangerous air currents. In 2001, a helicopter attempting to cross the pit was sucked down by these currents and crashed, killing all aboard. After that, a no-fly zone was established. The open pit closed in 2001, but mining continues underground. Tunnels extend beneath the pit, following diamond-bearing kimberlite deeper into the earth. These underground operations present different challenges: groundwater seepage, structural stability, ventilation in confined spaces where air quality directly impacts survival. But the pit itself remains, a monument to industrial ambition and geological fortune. Proposals to fill it have been rejected, too expensive, too complex. Proposals to convert it into a covered city or energy storage facility have been floated but never implemented. The pit simply exists, a circular void that can be seen from space, a testament to humanity's willingness to dig holes in the coldest, most hostile environment on Earth in search of crystallized carbon. Mirny's existence depends entirely on diamonds. When the ore body is exhausted, the city will face the same question as every resource extraction town: what happens when the resource runs out? In most places, this question unfolds over decades. In Yakutia, where every supply must be imported, where infrastructure requires constant maintenance, the question is more urgent. The diamonds that built Mirny may also doom it. Ice Age, preserved mammoth graveyard. Yakutia is the world's premier source of mammoth remains. Every year, thawing permafrost exposes woolly mammoths, preserved so completely that their flesh, fur, and internal organs remain intact after 40,000 years. The mammoth ivory trade is substantial. Mammoth tusks, legal to collect and sell unlike elephant ivory, command high prices from carvers and collectors. Yakutian hunters spend summers searching riverbanks and eroding cliffs for exposed ivory. A single large tusk can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. But the most valuable finds are complete mammoths. Scientists pay substantial sums for intact specimens that can be studied. In 2013, a female mammoth recovered from Yakutia was so well preserved that blood was extracted from her veins. The blood had been frozen in mid-circulation 40,000 years ago. These discoveries raised tantalizing questions about de-extinction. Could mammoth DNA be used to resurrect the species? Scientists have extracted viable DNA from Yakutian mammoths. The technology for cloning exists. The ethical questions are profound. Some researchers argue mammoths could help combat climate change. Large herbivores trampling Arctic tundra convert shrubland back to grassland, which reflects more sunlight and keeps permafrost frozen. Mammoths, engineered or resurrected, could perform this ecological function. Others argue de-extinction is hubris. We drove mammoths to extinction through hunting and climate change. Bringing them back addresses neither the ethics of extinction nor the climate crisis. It's technological showmanship, not conservation. Meanwhile, thawing permafrost continues to expose mammoths at accelerating rates. Rivers undermining frozen banks uncover tusks, bones, entire skeletons. Indigenous communities have collected mammoth ivory for centuries, but commercial hunting is relatively recent. The Saka people have complex traditions regarding mammoths. Some view them as sacred creatures whose remains should not be disturbed. Others see ivory as an economic resource that belongs to whoever finds it. Conflicts arise between traditional beliefs and economic necessity. What's undeniable is this: Yakutia is a time capsule. The permafrost preserved not just mammoths, but an entire ecosystem. Cave lions, woolly rhinoceroses, giant deer, steppe bison all emerge from melting ice, specimens so perfect they appear recently dead rather than ancient. Each discovery provides data about Ice Age ecology, climate, and extinction events. Each also signals how quickly permafrost is thawing. The mammoth graveyard is opening. What emerges will rewrite our understanding of the past. What the opening signifies for the future is far more troubling. The Batagaika crater. In northern Yakutia, the land has opened. The Batagaika crater, locally called the gateway to the underworld, is a massive thermokarst depression, a collapsed area where thawing permafrost has caused ground subsidence. The crater measures nearly a mile long and 300 feet deep, still expanding at rates of 10 to 30 meters per year. It began forming in the 1960s when forest was cleared for mining. Without tree cover to insulate the ground, permafrost began thawing. The ground collapsed. Once started, the process accelerated. Walking to the crater's edge reveals geological history. The exposed walls show layers of permafrost accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years. Ice lenses the size of cars jut from cliff faces. Organic matter, frozen since before modern humans existed, thaws and decomposes, releasing millennia of accumulated carbon. The crater exposes specimens from multiple Ice Age periods. Researchers have recovered bones from ancient horses, bison, mammoths, and smaller animals. Tree trunks from forests that grew 200,000 years ago emerge perfectly preserved. Pollen samples reveal what plants grew during different climate periods. But the crater is also terrifying. It demonstrates how quickly landscape can change when permafrost thaws. What was solid ground becomes void in decades. The crater's expansion threatens a nearby highway. If the highway is cut, communities beyond will be isolated. Locals avoid the crater when possible. Superstitions hold that it's cursed, that disturbing it brings misfortune. Scientists studying it sometimes report unease. a feeling of wrongness, of witnessing something that shouldn't be happening. The Batagaika crater is a preview. As climate warms, similar craters will appear across Yakutia and other permafrost regions. The ground we assumed solid is hollow, honeycombed with ice that's beginning to melt. When it does, the landscape collapses into voids that grow year by year. We're witnessing the beginning of a transformation that will reshape northern landscapes. The frozen ground that defined these regions for millennia is disappearing. What replaces it, we're only beginning to understand. Ancient viruses and bacteria. Yakutian permafrost doesn't just preserve large animals. It preserves microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, frozen in midlife 40,000 years ago or longer. French scientists studying permafrost samples from Yakutia discovered viable bacteria frozen for 3 million years. When thawed, the bacteria resumed metabolic activity. They weren't fossils. They were dormant, waiting for warmth to return. More disturbingly, giant viruses have been recovered from Yakutian permafrost. Viruses of types unknown to modern science, some capable of infecting amoebas, others of unknown host specificity. These viruses were frozen for 30,000 years. When thawed in laboratory conditions, they became active again. This raises alarming questions. What else is frozen in permafrost? What diseases affected Ice Age animals and humans? What pathogens were circulating 40,000 years ago? Could ancient diseases, for which modern humans have no immunity, emerge as permafrost thaws? The scenario isn't theoretical. In 2016, an anthrax outbreak in Yakutia killed thousands of reindeer and hospitalized dozens of people. The source was traced to a thawed reindeer carcass that had died of anthrax decades earlier. The bacteria, frozen in permafrost, became viable when the carcass thawed during an unusually warm summer. If anthrax can survive decades frozen, what about viruses? What about bacteria that were common 40,000 years ago but went extinct after the Ice Age? What novel pathogens might permafrost contain? Scientists studying this phenomenon exercise extreme caution. Samples are handled in biosafety facilities. Procedures prevent accidental release. But natural thawing of permafrost requires no safety protocols. What emerges from melting ground does so without human oversight. The Yakutian permafrost is a biological archive. It preserves genetic material from extinct organisms, data about ancient ecosystems, and potentially active pathogens from disease outbreaks millennia past. As this archive thaws, its contents are released into modern environments. We're conducting an uncontrolled experiment in microbiology. The results could range from academically interesting to catastrophic. The Yana rhinoceros horn site. In northern Yakutia, archaeologists discovered the Yana rhinoceros horn site, evidence of human habitation dating to 30,000 years ago, the oldest known human settlement in the Arctic. The site, preserved by permafrost, contained stone tools, ivory needles, and weapons made from mammoth tusks and woolly rhinoceros horn. These weren't crude implements. These were sophisticated tools requiring advanced manufacturing techniques. The site's significance extends beyond age. It demonstrates that humans adapted to Arctic conditions far earlier than previously believed. 30,000 years ago, this region was experiencing Ice Age conditions even harsher than today's climate. Yet humans not only survived, they thrived, developing specialized tools and techniques for cold weather hunting and living. The preservation is extraordinary. Organic materials that would have decayed in normal conditions remained frozen. Wooden tool handles, sinew cordage, leather fragments, all preserved well enough to study construction techniques used by Ice Age hunters. Recent analysis of DNA from the site revealed genetic material from humans, mammoths, and other animals. The human DNA showed populations that no longer exist, genetic lineages that disappeared during subsequent migrations and population changes. The Yana site raises profound questions. How did these early humans survive? What clothing technologies did they develop? How did they maintain fire in conditions where wood was scarce? What social structures allowed cooperation necessary for survival? We're only beginning to understand. The site is remote, accessible only by helicopter for brief summer periods. Excavation is difficult. Permafrost must be carefully thawed without destroying artifacts. Each season reveals new artifacts, new insights into human adaptation to extreme cold. But climate change threatens the site. As permafrost thaws, artifacts are exposed to decomposition. The same thawing that reveals new material also destroys it. Archaeologists race against time, excavating what they can before irreplaceable evidence of human history degrades beyond recovery. The Yana site demonstrates human resilience. Our ancestors conquered the coldest habitable regions of Earth with Stone Age technology. That same site now demonstrates our vulnerability. Climate change of our own making destroys the evidence of past survival. The Saka people, horse culture in the frozen north. The Saka people, also called Yakutsk, are Turkic pastoralists who migrated north from Central Asia centuries ago, bringing horse culture to the Arctic. This should have been impossible. Horses are not Arctic animals. Yet the Saka not only brought horses to Yakutia, they developed breeds specifically adapted to extreme cold. The Yakutian horse is a stocky, hardy animal covered in winter coat so thick it resembles fur. These horses can withstand temperatures of -60 degrees Celsius. They dig through snow to reach frozen grass beneath. They survive on forage that would starve other horses. For the Saka, horses are not just transportation or food. They're sacred animals, central to cultural identity and spiritual practice. The mare's milk fermented into kumis is a traditional drink. Horse meat sustains families through winter. Horse hide provides clothing and shelter material. But horses also represent connection to warmer southern origins. Maintaining horse herds in Yakutia requires enormous effort, building shelters, storing feed, protecting animals from wolves and bears. That the Saka persisted in this effort, generation after generation, demonstrates cultural commitment beyond practical necessity. Traditional Saka society was organized around horse herding. Wealthy families owned large herds. Social status correlated with horse numbers. Marriages involved horse-based dowries. Even today, among Saka maintaining traditional lifestyles, horses remain central to identity. The Oymyakon festival, the Saka New Year celebration, centers on horses. Kumis is blessed and drunk communally. Horse races demonstrate riding skill. Traditional epic poems recount legendary horses and their riders. The festival occurs at summer solstice, the briefest night of the year, celebrating light's victory over winter darkness. But climate change affects horse culture. Winters are becoming more unpredictable. Sudden thaws followed by refreezing create ice layers that horses can't break through to reach grass. Summer droughts reduce available forage. Changing conditions force adaptations to practices refined over centuries. Younger Saka increasingly move to cities, pursuing educations and careers incompatible with horse herding. Traditional knowledge, how to read weather signs, how to treat horse ailments with traditional medicine, how to survive on the land, passes away with elders. The Saka horse culture survived Russian colonization, Soviet collectivization, and 5 centuries of extreme climate. Whether it survives modernity and climate change remains uncertain. Reindeer nomads. While the Saka brought horse culture north, indigenous peoples like the Evenks, Evens, and Yakutsk practiced reindeer nomadism, following herds across tundra and taiga in seasonal migrations spanning hundreds of kilometers. Reindeer nomadism is perfectly adapted to Arctic conditions. Reindeer provide transportation, food, clothing, and shelter material. They require no stored feed. They forage on lichen and tundra vegetation. They move constantly, preventing overgrazing. The lifestyle requires no permanent infrastructure, making it resilient to environmental change. But this lifestyle is disappearing. Soviet policies forced nomads into settlements, disrupting migration patterns. Modern borders and industrial development, mining, pipelines, roads, fragment traditional routes. Younger generations prefer settled life with modern conveniences. Climate change presents new challenges. Warming temperatures extend the range of parasites that afflict reindeer. Changed snow conditions make traditional migration routes impassable. Thawing permafrost creates unstable ground that injures animals. Yet some Evenk and Even families maintain nomadic traditions. They move with their herds, living in portable tents, following patterns their ancestors established. For them, this isn't poverty or backwardness. It's cultural continuity, spiritual practice, and practical adaptation to environment. Anthropologists and activists work to document and preserve nomadic knowledge before it disappears. Traditional ecological knowledge, understanding animal behavior, predicting weather, identifying edible and medicinal plants, represents centuries of accumulated wisdom. This knowledge is invaluable for understanding Arctic ecosystems, yet it exists mostly in memories of elders. The tragedy is this. As climate change accelerates, traditional knowledge about adapting to Arctic conditions becomes more valuable precisely as it disappears. We're losing adaptability at the moment we need it most. Saka language and oral tradition. The Saka language, a Turkic language unrelated to Russian, survives as a vibrant living language spoken by nearly 500,000 people. This survival is remarkable given Russian language dominance and Soviet-era policies discouraging minority languages. Saka has complex grammatical structures reflecting the culture's relationship with environment. Multiple words describe different types of snow, ice, and cold. Verb tenses encode not just when something happened, but how the speaker knows it happened, direct observation versus hearsay. The language preserves oral tradition, epic poems. Called Oymyakon, some lasting many hours in performance, recount legendary heroes, supernatural beings, and creation myths. These epics were transmitted orally for centuries, memorized and performed by specialized storytellers. UNESCO recognized Oymyakon as a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. But the tradition faces extinction. Few young people learn the epics. The memorization skills required, holding tens of thousands of lines of poetry in memory, are becoming rare. Recordings preserve performances, but recordings aren't living tradition. The Saka language also contains shamanic vocabulary, words for spirits, rituals, and altered states of consciousness. Traditional Saka spirituality involved shamans who mediated between human and spirit worlds, traveling through cosmic layers during trance states induced by drumming and chanting. Soviet authorities suppressed shamanism as superstition. Shamans were arrested or killed. Sacred objects were destroyed. The practice went underground, preserved secretly by families who continued traditions despite persecution. Since the Soviet collapse, Saka shamanism has experienced revival. New shamans claim inheritance of traditional powers. Tourists attend ceremonies. But anthropologists debate authenticity. How much current practice represents unbroken tradition versus reconstruction based on fragmentary records? The question may be unanswerable. What matters is that Saka people are reclaiming spiritual practices that connect them to ancestors and land. In a region undergoing catastrophic environmental change, these spiritual connections provide cultural continuity and psychological resilience. Traditional Saka architecture. The traditional Saka dwelling, called a balagan, is an architectural marvel of cold climate adaptation. Built from logs with sloped roof and earthen insulation, the balagan was designed to conserve heat while allowing smoke escape. The structure is partially underground, with earthen walls providing insulation. The roof, covered with birch bark and sod, offers additional thermal protection. Inside, a central hearth provides heat and cooking fire. Sleeping platforms along walls keep people elevated above cold floor level. But the most distinctive feature is the entrance, a low tunnel requiring people to crawl, preventing cold air infiltration. This design principle, minimizing openings, creating airlocks, appears in traditional Arctic architecture worldwide, developed independently by cultures facing similar challenges. Soviet authorities discouraged balagani, considering them primitive. They built standard Soviet housing, concrete apartment blocks designed for moderate climates, completely unsuited to permafrost conditions. These buildings cracked, tilted, required enormous heating costs, and represented cultural erasure disguised as modernization. Today, few traditional balagani remain. Some exist as museum pieces or tourist attractions. A handful are maintained by families preserving traditional lifestyles. But practical knowledge of balagan construction is disappearing with elders who remember building them. Ironically, modern architects are rediscovering principles embedded in traditional design. Passive solar heating, earth insulation, minimized thermal bridges. The balagan, dismissed as primitive, embodied sophisticated understanding of thermodynamics. Some contemporary Saka architects are creating new designs that honor traditional principles while incorporating modern materials and conveniences. These hybrid structures attempt to bridge cultural continuity and contemporary needs, creating architecture that's both Saka and modern. This architectural renaissance represents broader pattern. Indigenous knowledge, suppressed as backward, is being recognized as containing solutions to contemporary problems. The ancestors who developed strategies for extreme cold survival weren't primitive. They were engineers responding to environmental challenges with available materials and accumulated wisdom. We dismissed their solutions. Now we're desperately trying to remember what was lost. Lena River, the frozen artery. The mighty Lena. The Lena River, fourth longest in the world, dominates Yakutian landscape and life. Rising in mountains near Lake Baikal, the Lena flows 4,400 kilometers north through Yakutia to the Arctic Ocean, draining an area larger than Western Europe. For 8 to 9 months annually, the Lena is frozen solid. Ice thickness reaches 2 to 3 meters, strong enough to support trucks carrying supplies to remote communities. The frozen river becomes a highway, smoothest and often only route to settlements with no road access. But the spring breakup is catastrophic. As temperatures rise, ice begins melting from beneath while surface remains frozen. Pressure builds. Eventually, ice cracks with explosive force. Massive ice flows weighing hundreds of tons crash downstream, destroying anything in their path. Ice jams form when flows accumulate at river bends or narrows, creating temporary dams. Water backs up behind these jams, flooding surrounding areas. When jams break, walls of water surge downstream with devastating force. Communities along the Lena have been destroyed repeatedly by breakup flooding. Yet, people return. They rebuild. The Lena provides transportation, water, fish. Life without the river is impossible. Life with the river requires accepting periodic destruction as the price of residence. Climate change is altering breakup patterns. Earlier melting creates different ice dynamics. Increased water volume from thawing permafrost means larger floods. Some communities are relocating to higher ground. Others fortify against floods they know will worsen. The Lena also reveals geological history. The Lena Pillars, a series of vertical rock formations along the river, rise up to 100 meters high, ancient limestone cliffs carved by erosion into fantastic shapes. These pillars contain fossils from the Cambrian period, when this region was tropical seabed. Walking among the Lena Pillars feels like traveling through geological time. Each layer represents millions of years of deposition. Each fossil shows life forms long extinct. The pillars demonstrate how radically climate can change, from tropical ocean to frozen tundra, over geological timescales. Now we're inducing similar changes over human timescales. The question is whether we can adapt as successfully as the rocks. River communities. Along the Lena River, dozens of small communities survive in extreme isolation. Many have no road access. They're supplied by boat during brief summer navigation season and by winter road over frozen river. These communities maintain existence through a combination of subsistence activities, fishing, hunting, gathering, and government subsidies. Life is difficult, supplies are expensive, medical care is minimal, young people leave at first opportunity. Yet some residents wouldn't live anywhere else. They cite connection to land, traditional lifestyle, and freedom from urban pressures. In cities, they say, people are crowded but lonely. Here, populations are sparse, but everyone knows everyone. Community bonds are strong because survival depends on mutual aid. Winter isolation can be psychologically challenging. Months of darkness, temperatures preventing outdoor activity, limited communication with outside world. Some residents develop seasonal depression. Others thrive in the quiet, using long winter for crafts, reading, or spiritual practice. The Spring River breakup is celebrated as a festival. When ice begins moving, entire communities gather to watch, cheering as winter's grip breaks. The event marks transition from isolation to connection, from endurance to renewal. But these communities face existential threats. Climate change is making river navigation more unpredictable. Floods are becoming more severe. Permafrost thaw is destabilizing buildings. Government subsidies are declining as Russian federal budgets tighten. Some demographers predict these communities will be abandoned within a generation. Others argue they'll persist as long as people choose traditional lifestyles over urban alternatives. The truth likely lies between. Some communities will endure, others will fade, the choice depending on complex factors including individual determination, government support, and climate impacts. Fish of the frozen river. The Lena River hosts unique fish species adapted to extreme cold. The Siberian sturgeon, one of the largest freshwater fish, migrates up the Lena to spawn. These ancient fish, largely unchanged for millions of years, can live over a century and grow to enormous size. But overfishing and habitat destruction have decimated sturgeon populations. The Lena once teemed with them. Now, catching a large sturgeon is rare. Conservation efforts attempt to restore populations, but success is limited by continued illegal fishing and environmental degradation. Other species, whitefish, omul, nelma, provide subsistence for river communities. Ice fishing sustains families through winter. Holes are drilled through thick ice, nets lowered into frigid water. Fish, when pulled out, freeze solid within minutes. These fish have antifreeze proteins in their blood, allowing survival in water temperatures that would kill most species. Their flesh, when eaten raw and frozen, a traditional delicacy called stroganina, tastes remarkably different from thawed fish, with a texture and flavor impossible to replicate by freezing fresh fish. Climate change affects fish populations. Warming water stresses cold-adapted species. Altered river flow patterns disrupt spawning. Increased permafrost thaw introduces sediment that smothers spawning grounds. The fish that sustained human populations for millennia face uncertain futures. The Delta. Where the Lena empties into the Arctic Ocean, the river fragments into hundreds of channels, creating one of the world's largest river deltas. The Lena Delta covers 32,000 square kilometers of wetlands, lakes, and islands, a vast wilderness supporting millions of migratory birds. The delta is a biological hotspot. Despite extreme cold, the brief summer explosion of life is spectacular. Waterfowl arrive by the millions to breed. Arctic foxes hunt nesting birds. Fish move through channels. The landscape transforms from frozen wasteland to teeming ecosystem in weeks. But the delta is also ground zero for climate change impacts. Permafrost thaw is dramatically altering landscape. Islands are eroding into the Arctic Ocean at rates of several meters per year. New channels form as ice-rich permafrost melts and collapses. The delta's geography is transforming visibly year to year. Scientists use the Lena Delta as a natural laboratory for studying permafrost thaw and its consequences. Research stations monitor ground temperature, methane emissions, erosion rates, and ecosystem changes. The data is sobering. Changes are occurring faster than predicted by models. Indigenous communities in the Delta face impossible choices. Their settlements, built on permafrost, are collapsing. They can relocate, abandoning ancestral lands, or stay and continuously repair damage. Neither option is sustainable long-term. The Lena Delta demonstrates a harsh truth. Arctic ecosystems adapted to extreme cold are proving extremely vulnerable to even modest warming. The resilience that allowed life to persist through harsh conditions doesn't translate to resilience against rapid change. Modern Yakutia, Yakutsk. Permafrost. Metropolis. Yakutsk, with 300,000 residents, is the world's coldest major city. It's also one of the fastest growing, attracting migrants from across Russia and beyond, drawn by diamond mining jobs and relatively high wages. The city presents surreal contrasts. Modern apartment towers stand on stilts like mechanical giants. Shopping malls compete with any in Moscow, their heated interiors a stark contrast to -50 outside. Traffic jams form at -40, cars running continuously, drivers wearing fur hats and heavy coats even for brief trips. Winter in Yakutsk is a battle against cold. Buses run constantly. If they stop, engines freeze. Cars must be plugged into electrical heating posts overnight. Outdoor markets sell frozen fish stacked like cordwood, frozen milk in blocks, frozen meat that must be sawed rather than cut. Yet life continues normally by local standards. Children attend school unless temperatures drop below -50. Businesses operate. People socialize. There's a saying, there's no bad weather, only bad clothing. Yakutsk residents invest heavily in clothing. Fur coats, fur hats, insulated boots. Proper clothing makes -40 merely uncomfortable rather than deadly. The city has developed unique cultural identity. Yakutsk hosts theaters, museums, and universities. The Saka Theater performs traditional and contemporary works in the Saka language. The Mammoth Museum displays Ice Age specimens. The Melnikov Permafrost Institute attracts scientists worldwide. But Yakutsk faces existential crisis. Permafrost thaw is accelerating. Buildings are collapsing. Infrastructure is failing. The city requires constant, expensive maintenance just to remain habitable. Long-term sustainability is questionable. Some planners advocate controlled retreat, gradually relocating population to more stable locations. Others propose massive infrastructure investment, essentially rebuilding the city with foundations designed for thawing permafrost. Both options are politically and economically difficult. Meanwhile, residents cope. They repair buildings, they adapt, they persist. Yakutsk has survived for nearly 4 centuries. Residents believe it will survive this challenge too. Whether belief translates to reality remains uncertain. Becoming a liability rather than merely an obstacle. Alrosa is adapting. New mines are designed for thawing conditions. Processing facilities are being relocated to more stable ground. But adaptation has limits. If permafrost thaw continues accelerating, some operations may become economically unviable. The diamond industry built modern Yakutia. It may also determine Yakutia's future. Whether the region thrives, adapts, or declines depends partly on whether diamond extraction remains profitable in changing climate. Education and youth flight. Yakutia has strong educational institutions. Northeastern Federal University in Yakutsk is the largest university in northeastern Russia, offering programs in science, humanities, and professional fields. Students come from across Russia and neighboring countries. But a pattern persists. Young people leave. They study in Yakutsk or further south, then don't return. The pull of warmer climates, more diverse economies, and cultural amenities is strong. Parents invest in children's education, knowing education means departure. This brain drain threatens Yakutian future. The skilled professionals needed for economic diversification and adaptation to climate change are leaving. Villages lose their young adults. Urban areas age. Birth rates decline below replacement level in many communities. Government initiatives attempt to reverse the trend. Subsidies for young professionals who return. Housing assistance. Preference in hiring for local residents. But these measures compete against powerful forces: opportunity, climate, cultural pull of major cities. Some young people do return, motivated by connection to homeland, family obligations, or desire to contribute to Saka culture preservation. These returnees often become community leaders, teachers, activists. Their choice to return is countercultural, requiring justification to peers who view departure as natural progression. The tension between leaving and staying defines young Yakutian identity. Social media allows departed youth to maintain connections, participate virtually in home communities. But virtual participation isn't presence. It doesn't address depopulation's practical consequences. Yakutia's greatest resource isn't diamonds or gold, it's people. If demographic trends continue, the region faces future where vast wealth in ground cannot be extracted because insufficient population remains to do the work. Tourism in the cold. Yakutia has begun developing extreme cold tourism. Visitors pay substantial sums to experience -50, to stay in ice hotels, to photograph frost-covered landscapes, and the whisper of stars. The tourism pitch is simple. Experience Earth's coldest inhabited place. Walk where few tourists venture. Test yourself against cold that must be experienced to be believed. Photography opportunities are unmatched. Landscapes, ice formations, traditional culture. Tour companies offer packages. Visit Oymyakon, meet reindeer herders, try traditional Saka food, witness ice fishing. Some tours include cultural performances, throat singing, epic poem recitation, shamanic ceremonies, staged for tourists but based on traditional practice. The economic benefit is modest but growing. Tourism provides alternative employment, encourages cultural preservation, builds international awareness. Indigenous communities can monetize traditional knowledge and practices, creating incentive for younger generations to learn them. But tourism has complications. The very cold that attracts tourists is dangerous. Tour operators must ensure safety while delivering authentic experience. The infrastructure for cold weather tourism is minimal. Few hotels outside Yakutsk, limited transportation, emergency services stretch thin. Climate change is also affecting tourism. Warmer winters mean less extreme cold. The pole of cold designation may become less meaningful if temperatures moderate. Paradoxically, tourism marketing based on extreme cold may accelerate the warming that undermines it. Air travel emissions, infrastructure construction, energy consumption all contribute to climate change. Some Saka activists oppose tourism expansion, arguing it commodifies culture and disrupts traditional life. Others support it as economic opportunity and cultural preservation tool. The debate mirrors broader tensions between economic development and cultural environmental protection. Indigenous rights and resource extraction. Yakutia's indigenous peoples, Saka, Evenks, Evans, Yukagir, and others, have complex legal status. The Saka Republic has substantial autonomy within Russian Federation, with Saka language having official status alongside Russian. But autonomy has limits. Resource extraction decisions are made in Moscow. Mining operations proceed without indigenous consultation. Traditional territories are appropriated with minimal compensation. Legal protections for indigenous rights exist on paper but are weakly enforced. The Saka, being majority population in the Republic, have more political power than smaller indigenous groups. Evenk and even communities, numbering in thousands rather than hundreds of thousands, have less influence. Their traditional territories are remote, making resource extraction easier to impose without urban Saka witnessing impacts. Recent conflicts have erupted over mining expansion. Indigenous communities block roads, petition authorities, organize protests. They're motivated by environmental concerns and cultural preservation, but also by economic grievances, seeing wealth extracted from their lands while receiving minimal benefit. The Russian government's response has been mixed. Some concessions have been made: increased compensation, environmental mitigation requirements, consultation procedures. But fundamental power dynamics haven't changed. The state controls resources. Indigenous peoples can petition but not prevent extraction. Climate change adds urgency. As permafrost thaws, traditional hunting and herding territories become unusable. Indigenous communities need alternative economies, but alternatives require capital, infrastructure, and political support, all in short supply. Some indigenous activists frame climate change as continuation of colonialism, external forces imposing changes that devastate indigenous life without consent or compensation. Others focus on practical adaptation, seeking resources and support for communities to adjust to changing conditions. The common thread is determination to survive. Indigenous peoples of Yakutia survived Russian conquest, Soviet oppression, and 5 centuries of resource extraction. They intend to survive climate change too. Whether they can depends partly on actions of governments and corporations, partly on their own resilience and adaptation.